podcast that is spreading positivity around the world by sharing inspiring life experiences. With me today is Lynda Leonce, whose story is one that I believe many of us will recognize in some way. For years, Linda believed what she believed was life, wasn't exactly what she was looking at: education, career, achievements, family, and constantly striving to do more. But underneath all of that success, she began to realize that much of her life was being driven by fear, expectation, and a desire to please others. Her journey eventually led her to question the life she was living, rediscover herself, and embrace a greater sense of authenticity, freedom, and joy. Today, we are going to talk about what happens when you stop living according to everyone else's expectations and start discovering who you really are. If you're looking for some motivation, then you are in the right place. So grab your warm drink and let's kick the ball rolling. Hello, Linda, and welcome to Podcast with Sheila.
Hi, thank you for having me. I do have my warm drink, so I'm
Oh,
good to go.
good, 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 good. Let's get the ball rolling then. So, you had said something powerful here, and you said, "I'm no different than you." Take us back to the woman you were before you began questioning your life. What did life look like then, and what was happening inside?
Yeah, I feel that I was very much doing things from what I thought I should be doing in life. Like, I remember going into college, choosing a career, and making that choice based on what made sense to my mind. Like, IT sounds like it would be a good way to go. Financially, that would be good for me. I would probably do well. And, um, I had I considered myself someone that had like this logical mind. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. All coming from my mind, right? Not from somewhere deeper within me. So I was just going through what I thought life was supposed to be like. So I went to college, got the smart career that made sense to my mind. And then, work through the corporate ladder, promotion after promotion, doing different things that were what I wanted to achieve. Just very goal oriented, very achievement focused, and always feeling like once I got there, then I'd be okay, then I'd be happy. And I remember feeling like, okay, once I got to this promotion, then I'll be good. I'll feel so great. And it lasted for about a week or two. And then my mind was quickly on to the next thing. Like, okay, how can I get to that next promotion or whatever it was, whether it was in a relationship or whatever area of life I wanted to achieve something in, my focus was always on the next goal. And I think what I finally got about 5 or 6 years ago was it's not about that. It's not the achievements. It's not when I get there that I can feel good and feel fulfilled. What am I missing? Like I just keep moving the goalpost. There's got to be something there that I'm not seeing. So I think once I really got that it's not about when I get to something, it's maybe looking somewhere else, somewhere deeper within, that things really started to shift.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what was actually causing you to move the goalpost? What do you think
Mm,
it was that made you feel, no, I think I can do more, I deserve more, or this isn't it, there's more somewhere? What was making you feel
yeah.
that way?
The goalpost was moving because I kept wanting the happiness from when I got there. Whatever it was next would make me feel like, okay, I'm happy, I'm good now. And so promotion one felt good. There was a certain level of income that felt great. Then I was like, when I get to the next level of income, then I'll be okay. And then it was also like, maybe once I have a child or once I do this or buy a house, whatever it was, would give me that feeling that I could relax, like I was good, like life was okay now. But it's not, it just kept moving. There was never the lasting fulfillment once I got
Mm,
to a. So I saw that, like, what's missing? I keep feeling like the lasting fulfillment comes from the goal, but it wasn't adding up.
mm. So, did you actually find out what wasn't giving you the fulfillment? Was it that you didn't love what you were doing? You didn't love your job? If you're talking about relationship, was it that you didn't like the kind of relationship you were in? And if you talk about not finding fulfillment in, because you thought at some point that if you had children, you have fulfillment. Was it that when you had the children, you didn't have fulfillment there? What was it really?
Good question. I would say what really landed and what I finally got about 5 or 6 years ago was I like to think of the analogy of a flashlight. So my focus or my flashlight was always shining on the outer world. So career, parenting, relationships. When I got to whatever goal it was with those areas, then I'd feel good. Then I'd feel happy. And like I said, it just kept moving. The goalpost just kept moving from one thing to another. However, what I really saw was the minute I took my flashlight, my focus, and flipped it 180 and put the focus on myself on a moment to moment, day by day basis, that's when I could see and really start to create what I wanted deeply for myself. So, meaning, if I'm going about my day and I'm at work writing an email and I feel this trigger, this lack of ease, this feeling of shrinking down, feeling like I can't be myself or say what I really want to say, that's me in a moment where I'm not being real, I'm not being myself, I'm pretending to be something for someone else, maybe I'm people pleasing. So it's when I started to put the focus there, moment to moment, day by day, that things really started to shift because I was seeing how I was seeing myself, creating my life, looking at life from a limited view, or looking at me rather from a limited view, as opposed to really feeling like I could say what I want to say, be who I want to be, and not care what anyone else thought. But the only way I could really see that was, like I said, if I started giving the full focus and attention on myself. Not that I didn't have the goals anymore, the goals are still there, but the focus primarily was on me and how I was being on a moment to moment basis.
Do you think some of these things were driven by fear or what the community would say? Because sometimes unconsciously, I think the community has a lot of role to play in some of these cases. Community, when I say community, your family, your friends, the people around you, the people that forms the community or in your close circle, they consciously or unconsciously sometimes nudge us into certain situations and areas that we find ourselves. And in the end, because that's what I'm getting from you as you are narrating your story. Um, a typical example is when you're at home and you ask your child, what would you like to be in future? And most of the time, parents will expect their children to, I'd like to be a doctor, I'd like to be a lawyer, because obviously well, back then, I don't see those occupations now, quote unquote, as the posh plush ones now, because these days people on social media are making more than what the doctors and the lawyers and the architects are making. So, and most doctors are moving from the medical field into social media. I've seen a lot of doctors on social media now with huge social media following saying they left their careers to come on social media for so many reasons. You could tell from their stories that most of them were living the lives of their parents because their parents probably wanted them to be doctors. Whereas for themselves, they probably wanted to be maybe footballers, or they wanted to be creative, go into the creative field, like be musicians, be writers, or whatever. So I'm thinking probably from your end, you had some form of somebody else's life being led through you. It was like maybe your mom wanted to be a doctor and then she wasn't able to be. She said, then you have to be a doctor then. So then you want, because you want to please your mom, or as an example, then you go into medical school and then you end up that you don't like it. Is that the case?
Mm, Meaning the people pleasing, was that coming from the outer wanting to please other people? Yeah, I think a big part of why we feel that disconnection is because we feel like we have to do what other people expect us to do. We have to follow what we believe we're obligated to do. And we can't genuinely check in and question what means the most to me, what matters to me, what lights me up. We feel like that can't be the primary thing that drives us. It has to be how life or society or our parents or whoever expects us to be. So, yeah, I totally agree. It's coming from, again, focusing more on what the outer, what other people, what society is going to say or expects from us, as opposed to our own inner knowing and alignment.
Hmm. So, does it then also mean that money, obviously, money doesn't bring all the joy that we want because you had all of that, but yet, so that wasn't fulfilling enough. So, then what did you find fulfilling going forward? Did you leave your work? What about family? Did you have to leave all that behind to find a different life? And was that new life fulfilling enough for you?
That's a good question. I would say um, what started to create change and shift things for me was getting curious, questioning, where do I feel like I'm not being real, not being authentic? Am I around people where I don't feel like I can really say what matters to me, be myself, say yes when it's a yes and no when it's a no, and feel safe to do that? So I feel like the more I allowed myself to see, by again having the focus on myself, to see when I'm doing things out of expectation, obligation, feeling like I have to do what other people are expecting, that's when I could see that I was just following an idea of what life was supposed to be like. Even the company I was keeping, it was like, this is what I've done for so long, this is how I've expected myself to do it, and I have to keep doing it that way. I didn't necessarily believe that anymore. I saw that, that was a choice, and I could choose to continue doing what I was doing, or have the courage to be open, honest, and make changes from a place of courage, basically. Yeah.
Hmm. What was the
Did I
hardest
answer
thing
your question?
you did? Yeah. What was the hardest thing you had to let go of when you decided to stop living according to other people's expectations?
The hardest thing to do. I think it's the courage to speak truthfully, say when something no longer works, and let go of any fear of what comes next. So, for example, if in a relationship and you know it's not working for you,
Mm,
having the courage to speak up and let go of, whatever someone else might think, what they might say, fear of maybe things being completely different in our lives, but trusting that if we make that choice, if we speak from authenticity, from alignment to ourselves, that it's going to lead to the best possible outcome for yourself and for everyone around you.
mm. Okay. You eventually found yourself speaking up in relationships and situations that weren't working for you. How difficult was it to start using your voice after years of perhaps trying to keep everyone else happy?
It was, of course, the mind comes in and has all these fears, this resistance to speaking up. But I think what I really got, and I think I just shared that a little bit, is I saw that me not being truthful, me not being genuine, me holding back was not only keeping me out of alignment with being real, but it was preventing other people from their own alignment, their own truth, what mattered to them, because I was continuing to be inauthentic, be disingenuine. And so there's an impact on others as well. So, how much does it matter to me that I stay true to myself and trust that while it might be challenging for others at first, eventually it's the best outcome for everyone, even if it hurts or it's not comfortable at first.
Yeah, like I know change is difficult for everyone else. I don't know anybody who doesn't find change difficult at the beginning. Like when you're used to doing something and then you realize that you have to change, it's difficult. You know, whatever. I think this afternoon, just this afternoon, I was having a conversation with somebody and the person said, "Oh, I'm thinking of moving back home. I don't want to be in the UK anymore." And I asked him where home was, and then he had told me where home was, and he said he wanted to relocate with his family, but his wife didn't want to relocate. And I said, why? He said when he decided to move to the UK, his wife didn't want to move because change was very difficult for her. They've moved to the UK, been here for over 20 years now. He's decided I want to move back home. And the wife is finding it difficult for, and just like I was telling him, change is difficult for everybody, even with me as well. When I get used to something, it's very, very difficult. And that is where most women find ourselves, especially those women in relationships, in marriage and all of that. It may not be going well for us, but then we find, because we find difficult to change, we still stay in the abusive relationship, the abusive marriages, all of that. We take a lot of things on. And by the time we realize, we've allowed this to go on for too long, this isn't serving us, it's not good for our mental health, it's not good for our physical health, it's not good for us as a person, we need to make changes. Then it's very difficult. And I think that is where I'd like us to focus on, because a lot of people may identify with your story, but in different forms, especially when we are talking about change here, when most people could be finding themselves in different, it couldn't be, it shouldn't have to be a relationship, it could be a workplace where you are not happy in the work environment. Probably like the occupation, you like your profession, but you don't like the work environment because it doesn't allow you to be yourself. How can I change things around? Because you've been there, you didn't like a particular situation at some point in your life, you decided to make some changes. How can anybody, in whatever situation they find themselves and are not happy and wanting to make change, what is the first thing that you tell the person? Look, do this, do that, if you want to come out of the place, and something to put people in the right foot to make that decision.
Yeah, good question. I would say start to get in touch with what it really feels like to do things from alignment to yourself. And a fun way that I like doing that is, let's say you have a day, or choose a day that you have all to yourself. You don't have anything going on and you can focus on you. When you wake up that day, ask yourself, what do I genuinely feel excited to do today? And whatever it is, let's say it's go have coffee at a nice coffee shop, your mind might come in and say, well, this is stupid. What's the point of doing this? I'm going to be wasting money. I don't have time for this. Whatever it is, right? Basically resisting you doing the thing, the exercise. Just choose to ignore that. That's the mind. You don't have to listen to everything it says, and put it to the side. Allow yourself to go do whatever actually felt exciting to you. Go to the coffee shop, have fun, enjoy the environment, sip your coffee, really experience it. And then when you're done, same thing, ask yourself again, what do I feel genuinely excited to do next? Go do that. Maybe it'll be go spend time with a friend, go to a park, whatever it is, really doesn't matter. Just keep doing what feels genuinely exciting, one thing after another, and allow your mind to just be on the side. Like, notice if it's coming up with things, just notice it. You don't have to do anything. What I feel happens is you spend a whole day doing one thing after another that is in alignment, that is exciting, that you're passionate about. Then when you go back to your regular routine, your regular days, you'll kind of sense like, wow, I'm doing five, six things that really aren't me. I'm doing it because I feel I need to. I feel like I should. People expect me to do these things, but I don't really want to be doing this. So it's a real practical way to give yourself experience on what it's like to choose things to do that mean something to you and matters to you. And it really doesn't matter what it is. It's just a way to get more in touch with ourselves and what we want for ourselves. Yeah.
So basically, being intentional about then it means that if you don't want something, you have to be intentional about it. Set time up, make the decision. This is what I want to do towards this to effect changes, and definitely there'll be some change. Well, I think that's beautiful. That is quite in line with what yesterday my daughter came to me and was talking to me about something. I think something in the line of, oh, if you don't really like somebody and you want to forget them, how can you easily forget somebody? And I told you the easiest way I do it. I start thinking of the worst moment I had with the person. So then anytime that thought comes into my mind, I'm already angry. So I've logged out already. So I'm thinking about the worst moment, the bad moments I had with you, something really, really awful about you. That is what I'm going to use as a trigger to move away. And oh, thank you, mommy, that works. So it's basically finding out, like in your case, finding out something that works that will help you move on. So whatever it is, it may not be for me, that is how I deal with mine, maybe something different with each and everyone else. But basically finding whatever it is to help you make those changes in life. I think that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Makes sense.
Great. You became a conscious life and parenting coach initially to learn how to parent and coach yourself. What did you discover about yourself through the process that changed the way you saw life?
Through the parenting coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely showed me how much was possible because that was the first time when I decided to do the certification. It was the first time I did something that was out of the idea of what life is supposed to be like. So you go to a college, you buy a house, you have, you do the whole thing that is like this checklist of things we're supposed to do in life, but it's unofficial. We don't even know where we get it, but we're just following it. This was the first time I did something that was not on that idea or that checklist of life. And I wasn't doing it to become a coach, to really support anyone. I genuinely wanted to learn how to parent and coach myself. And so that's why I did it. But in doing that, there was so much growth, there was so much more awareness of myself that I was all in on anything and everything that really was taking me further along that way of knowing myself, seeing the truth of who I was beyond my mind, my thoughts, my fears, my limitations. So I feel like the more I allowed myself to just go with what felt right, not necessarily have like a clear idea of what it was, but it felt right, that was where I was really like creating things that I wanted for myself for the very first time.
Wow. Did that experience help you discover more who you were?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think through that I realized how much I was living from this idea of myself like in my head, like seeing myself as this person, this running, and it's the way I see it, it's like this running voice, this running commentary that never stops talking in our minds. It's not really me, but I genuinely believe the stories it's telling and what it's saying about whether I'm good enough, whether I'm someone else is better, like people always know more than I do. It's just like constantly comparing, constantly based in lack, and I saw that for what it was and realized that that's not me.
Hmm. You have explored teaching from prominent people without getting too technical. What is the biggest lesson from your journey that completely changed the way you see yourself in life?
Biggest lesson from what was the
Teaching,
first part?
teaching. You
The
have explored
teachings.
teaching. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say again, going back to the thoughts, like whatever is my mind is saying, that's the voice in the head, that's not the real me. So if my mind is telling me she knows better, or I'm no good, or this person is smarter than me, that's all thoughts, and that has nothing to do with me. It's just there. I don't have to pay attention to it. I can see it for what it is. It's based in lack. It just keeps going, and we don't have to run with it when it comes up.
Why do you think those voices could be coming to anybody? It's like you don't feel good enough. Because I trust me, a lot of people may be dealing with that kind of thing. When, oh, they'll probably not like me. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, because I've grown up. And sometimes I feel, am I weird? Am I different? I can't be bothered. That is me. I cannot be bothered. I'm like, I don't care, that kind of person. Because I've been a loner for a long time. You get what I mean? Even when there are people in the room,
Mm.
I enjoy my space. It's like I'm doing a course in the university. When I get there, nobody wants to talk to me. I don't care. That kind of person. When you get
Mhm.
there, nobody wants to sit on your table. I don't care. Because I don't even see it. If it's happening, I don't see it because I've always been a loner. And I work better when I'm alone. I perform better when I am alone. Because when I'm alone, I don't get too many distractions, too many voices. When I'm in a place where I'm trying to think, because I use my brain a lot, whatever I do creativity. I try to I invent a lot and so many things. So then I need my quiet space. The moment somebody is making some form of noise, and I've grown up to be like that. So for me, that is easier for me. Whether I'm not good enough, I've never ever thought of it. I don't know if I'll ever come to the point where I think I'm not good enough. She's better than me. No, because I've been able to tell myself everybody's different. And I can't be you, you can't be me. Meaning, I have something special that you can't have, and you have something special that I can't have. I think I've grown up in that line, and I've motivated myself in that line. I keep doing that to my daughter, like telling her that all of that and all of that. She keeps saying, why can't I be like you? And I said, you can. I also think that it's catching that young and living through it. So by the time she gets my age, she's been toughened up in that area, knowing, no, I don't care whether you like me or not. I don't care whether you want to play with me or not. I don't care whether you think you're better than me or not. I was talking to somebody recently and I said, oh, they'll tell you you are too poor, so they cannot play with you. Then he said, oh, I also tell them they are too rich, so I cannot play with them. If you have more money than me, I'm also poorer than you. That kind of funny thing. But then basically, I know that a lot of people are dealing with self-judging themselves, questioning themselves, wondering, am I enough? Am I not? And all of that. Some of these things, how do you deal with them? Like I said, I always try to flip it over in my
Mm.
head and then say,
Mm.
whatever you're saying, I flip it over. Like, I don't want to play with you. I don't care. You don't deserve to play with me. Those kind of things. I communicate back to myself in a way that makes me feel better. So you see me and I'm already confident. And you see there's nothing that you're doing that is rubbing off on me. All seriousness. So how would you work with something like this?
With the thoughts that constantly
Yeah, yeah,
running,
constant, yeah.
yeah, I would become aware, like, and a lot of it comes from, I feel, being in the moment, being present. So, because right now, if we're not thinking, then we're present. We're still, that's not happening when we're really practicing embodying being present. So, yeah, I would sit with really being present and asking in this moment, what's coming up? What am I feeling? What am I seeing myself as? What's the story I'm telling myself, right? And really become aware. Awareness alone can really start to shift things once we're aware.
Yeah, exactly. I think once you're aware,
Yeah.
you'll be able to do something about it. And also the stories we keep telling ourselves. So it's what we tell ourselves, that is what we become. As words are powerful, isn't it? So if you tell yourself you're not enough, then you always see yourself as you're not enough. If you tell yourself, I'm a lot more, I'm in the world for a purpose, the world needs me. When we keep saying those positive things to ourselves, it shifts the whole thing. And I think, like you said, coming from a place of awareness, then you can start speaking positively to the situation and then there'll be changes. Right. Wow. I hope that people are getting to learn a lot from this. We have a few audience on TikTok as well, and a few on YouTube. Anyway, let's go on. For someone who is watching this, who has spent years doing what they are supposed to do, pleasing people, achieving, working hard, and trying to keep everyone happy, how can they begin discovering what they genuinely want for themselves?
Yeah, I think definitely going back to starting to become aware, getting curious, and yeah, just allow yourself to be like, well, what matters to me? What do I feel? That practice where you spend the day doing what genuinely excites you, go even more into that and get curious about if you had the time to do what you really love doing, what would you do? And see where that goes and just start to put that flashlight again back on yourself moment to moment. What is coming up on a daily basis in terms of not just whether you are seeing yourself as limited, but are there things that you're passionate about that light you up, that you're not entertaining, that you're discounting, that maybe you're ignoring? Like, I can't focus on that. And just allow yourself to get curious.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. Finally, Linda, if you could speak to the version of yourself who was living from fear and expectation, what could you say to her today?
Yeah, I would tell her to not ignore the moments where you, again, going back to that knowing, if you feel like that curiosity for something, that excitement. Like for me, for example, I majored in IT, but I minored in social psychology. So clearly there was a curiosity for the inner world, but I didn't feel like I could fully focus there. So I feel like we have those moments where we kind of know what matters. We feel this pull to something, but then our minds might talk us out of it. Like, you can't put your time on focus on that, or that doesn't make sense, or that's not going to work, or that'll be too hard or take too long, whatever it is. Just allow yourself to really trust that excitement, that curiosity, and go with it. Like, don't discount it. Yeah.
Wow, I believe we've shared a lot of gems today. And if you've been with us on this podcast, you might have gotten your bit as well. Thank you very much, Linda, for coming on podcast with Sheila today. If you've been
Yeah.
listening
Thank you.
in, this is season two. Yeah. If you've been listening in, this is season two, episode 147 of our podcast series, where we bring seasoned guests with inspiring life stories to share with us. Do not miss out on all these lovely experiences. Subscribe and be notified when a new episode is released. Whilst at it, please drop us a rating. We have an audio presentation of this show on our audio podcast landing sites. Just search for Podcast with Sheila and you will find us. Until we meet again, remember change begins with you. Have a good evening. Thank you very much,
Mm,
Linda.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice
It was
meeting you.
lovely meeting you as well. Bye.